Hello, this is Mr. Mullo for Lesson 6-3, Solving Systems by Elimination. So we've already learned two ways to how to solve these systems. So we've learned graphing, either by hand or with the calculator. We've learned substitution, where we're plugging them in. And now we're going to learn elimination. I think it's probably going to be the more popular method. Remember, any of these three methods will give you the same answer, so it does not matter which one you pick. So just pick whichever one works for you. So if we look at a problem like this, we need to eliminate one of the variables. So we're going to treat this like an adding or subtracting problem. And you decide what we're going to do, whether we're going to add or subtract in order to eliminate a variable. So we have an x and a 2x. So if I add those or subtract those, it doesn't matter because they're not the same, so they won't eliminate. But I can eliminate my y's because they're both 1y, but I would need to add everything in order to eliminate my y's. If I subtract them, and really just end up with 2y, which doesn't help me. So I'm going to add everything in order to eliminate my y's. So x plus 2x is 3x. Like I said, y plus a negative y is 0, so I'm not going to put anything there. And then 2 plus 7 is 9. And now I'm going to solve for x. So 3 times x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 3. Now I still need to solve for y. And just like substitution, I can pick whichever problem I want and figure out what my y is going to be. So I think this top one looks simpler. So 3 instead of x plus y equals 2. I want to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 3 by both sides. That will cancel. Subtract 3 on both sides. And so my y ends up being a negative 1. So my two answers here are 3 and negative 1. Okay, so remember we have to eliminate one of our variables. Here, the one I can eliminate is going to be my x's. My x's are the one that are the same. They're both a 3x and a 3x, and I would eliminate them by subtracting. If I add them, I get 6x. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help me eliminate if I'm just getting a bigger x. So I need to subtract. Once I decide I'm subtracting, that means I'm subtracting everything. So 3x minus 3x, 0. I don't even need to write that down. Negative 2y minus a positive y is a negative 3y. And then a negative 2 minus 10 ends up being a negative 12. So then divide both sides by negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 12 divided by negative 3. I find out my y ends up being 4. And then same thing as before, we're going to plug it in. This time I think my bottom equation is going to be easier. So I'm going to do 3x plus 4 equals 10. Because now I know my y is 4. So it says plus 4, I need to minus 4. Minus 4. 3x equals 6. So then divide both sides by 3. And x ends up being 2. So my two answers here end up being 2 and 4. Oops. Okay. These are the nice problems, kind of like the level 1 intro problems, because my variables are already the same for us. We will get some problems where they're not the same, and in this case, like this, we need to multiply to make them the same. It doesn't matter which one you multiply by, kind of like this one, I can multiply the top or the bottom. I'm going to end up multiplying this whole top one by 2. so that both of these end up having a 2x. So if I multiply that whole top by 2, I end up with 2x plus 12y equals 2. And my bottom still stays the same, because I didn't have to multiply anything there. 2x minus 3y equals 32. And I would do what I just did on the other problem, subtract, get rid of my 2x's, figure out what y is. There's even another problem that gets a step harder, that none of them are going to be the same. But we'll do some examples of those in class where I'm going to end up having to multiply both of them by a number in order to end up with the same number in front of the x or number in front of the y.